Welcome to my backyard, my garden. This is where the magic happens. And what I mean by that is this is where I do all my self-care between sessions. This is like my favorite place in the world. So I'm going to take you through the garden. And while we do that, we're also going to talk about the fact that I identify as queer and that I'm part of the LGBT plus community. And not the buzzword, but what it really, really means to have affirming care in our community, because I think it's powerful and important, and exactly how to find that. So the most common misconception about when somebody comes into therapy who's part of our community is that a therapist being non-judgmental and creating a safe space for you is enough. And you know what? That's huge, and I'm not downplaying that. But sometimes we need somebody who gets the daily lived experience of being in relationships with somebody who's queer, non-binary. The dynamics are unique, they're different. And we don't want to bring judgments that fit for heterosexual couples into our community. It just doesn't fit. Booking it all? Well, no, not with our clinic, because with our clinic, you're booking because most of us are either actually members of our community, and also the people who are not part of the members of our community are also specialized, okay? Because that's why I chose them. So they know exactly what they're doing. It's not just informed care, it's specialized care, so that you feel held as somebody who's part of our community and everything that means. So that's what you can be non-judgmental, you can be caring, you can do your best. But in the end, like I do sex therapy, we do sex therapy at our clinic. And you either, when I'm giving you pointers, I have to know what I'm doing. They can't be general, they have to be specific, it has to be unique to you. And any interventions I do around fighting, around being close to each other, all right, has to fit your life. It can't be heteronormative stuff. What I do to make sure that you feel I get your identity is it's off the hop. It's the moment we meet that I talk about the fact that it's really important to me to integrate your identity into our experience. I'm not just non-judgmental, it's gonna be integrated. It's so core to who you are. And a concrete example is I'm lesbian, I have a wife, and when women connect, I love these flowers. When women connect, it can look really intense because that's what women do. We connect, and it can look really, really intense. And in the heteronormative world, that would be referred to as enmeshed or unhealthy. And I don't want to see you labeled as enmeshed and unhealthy if you're a lesbian couple. If that's what's natural, it's not a problem unless you think it is. My response is genuinely, it almost never is. I'd say 70% of my clients identify as queer or part of the LGBT plus community, and very rarely is their identity exactly what they're bringing in. It's occasionally I work with trans clients who are transitioning, but most of the time they're just working through the same stuff. So it's got to be relevant care, but it's relationships, it's trauma. So it's important that their identity be integrated into therapy, but most of the time it's not the reason we're coming. It's just core to who we are. You know, the biggest thing about polyamory is language, okay? If you assume monogamy, if you assume people have a partner and that it's couple counseling, not the best phrase, by the way. We do it because that's what people Google. But couple, you may be a polyamorous group of 3 or 4 people and you want to do that work together. So first of all, it's language, and also bringing in, polyamorous looks different to everybody, okay? So we've got to know what we're doing. You can't assume that all these systems look the same because they don't. And the thing is, with non-binary and especially if somebody's transitioning, as somebody's gender role changes, the dynamic that you have as a couple can change. And as funny as that sounds, that's really true, especially when you introduce things. If you introduce hormones, feelings change. The way somebody feels in the world changes, and that's going to show up in your relationship. Well, we start by talking about that. My dream, if I had my druthers, that's an old-fashioned expression, it would be to bring the family in and talk about fears, because that's usually what it is. It's usually fears, especially for your child and how the world will treat your child. So I'd love nothing better than to bring the family in and do all that work together. If not, it's about processing that. Because you have to be who you are. So we have to talk about what that's going to look like in your family, and that's going to be hard in some ways, and how to be assertive, and how to shape a relationship where you get respect because you deserve respect, and maybe sometimes making really hard choices. You deserve individualized care. You deserve care that is specific to you and who you are and everything that means. And part of that is being part of our community and who your partner is. But you deserve that. Don't settle. You don't have to. So I hope you feel that we broke down some myths and answered some questions about LGBT plus affirming care and what our clinic offers, and that I think we can certainly meet your needs, couple, individual, family, and whatever's needed. Know that we're here.